no matter what it looks like, no matter what it feels like, you can show up. You can stand up as your authentic self and bring who you are. Hello and welcome back to another portion of Bring Who You Are. Today I am super excited because we are going to be talking about a very powerful topic. And yes, it is the domestication of government. We are going to be talking about the glitches, the scams, if you will, and so many other things when it comes to domestication. But right now, I want to talk to you about one quick thing. Come on in and bring a friend. Go tell everybody that you know to come on in because it's time to win with the domestication of government. You are going to be so delighted. And as I always say, go ahead and get a pen and get a pad. Why, baby? Because note takers are money makers. And today you are going to want to take notes because this topic is so hot. It is going to knock your socks off because today we are going to touch on a lot of topics that people really don't want to touch on. And I know you might be saying, you guys or you gals are always doing something so out of the box. And yes, we are. So come on in because it's time to win with the domestication of government. So having said that, I want you to let us know where you're streaming in from because we definitely want to know. So today we're going to talk about the good, the gimmicks, and the glitches of domestication of government. And of course, I have the wonderful honor to bring to you today our upcoming tribe. But the first person that's going to come to us here, she is just a wonderful array of knowledge. She is hailing all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina. She has traveled the world all over, but today she's here with you and I to get things going. I'm going to bring to stage to you right after this quick break the wonderful, amazing Judge Kimberly Best. Be right back.
Let's go boom.
Good afternoon, everyone. The government. Gimmick, glitches, or good? What we know is that government almost certainly originated with the need to protect people from conflicts and to provide law and order. We know that it comes from not only Greek times, but biblical times. The Bible says, give Caesar what is due Caesar and give me what is due me. It also says there's an entire book on judges, and judges are to judge fairly and justly. The purpose of our federal government, as found in the United States Constitution, the preamble of the United States Constitution, is to establish justice, to inspire domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. In order to achieve this purpose, The founding fathers established three main principles on which our government is based here in the United States. There's inherent rights that anyone living in America has. There's self-government, government by the people, and you all have heard that, by the people and for the people. And of course, the separation of powers. Let's double back. Rights that anyone living in America has. We know that when the United States Constitution was ratified, and there were 9 states that ratified the Constitution, there were 9 required out of the 13 original colonies. It was adopted September 17th, 1787, and it was ratified in 1787 and 1788 by those 9 states without a Bill of Rights. Of course, the Bill of Rights came later. What we do know is we know that when the Constitution was drafted, that slaves were not given any rights, that women were not given any rights. Slaves were seen as chattel and property, much like spouses or wives. They had responsibilities. They were taught specifically to follow certain rules. Once again, going back to the original definition of domestication, it's to essentially tame or to get someone to fall in line. Once again, as I've said before, keep in mind that slaves were told to do what the masters told them to do or else. And provisions in the Bible were often given to them as proof that God wanted them to be good slaves. Women were told to obey their husbands. And at one point, it was legal to not only beat and rape your wife, but it was also illegal to commit sodomy, illegal to commit adultery. Of course, robbery, murder, jaywalking, vagrancy, loitering for drug activity, which eventually was struck down by many courts across this country, across this nation. How have we been conditioned to believe that the legal system in America is the best in the world, that it is righteous, and we do not challenge it, but instead we conform it? Many times people say, oh, it's against the law. If you park the wrong way, you're breaking the law, you're breaking the law. Or in our homeowners associations. Oh, the rules say you can't put out political signs, so people conform because they want to follow the rules. Are these gimmicks? Are these glitches? Or is it for the common good of everyone? Let's go back. Self-government, government by the people. Are we a true democracy? Do the people truly govern, or is the power in the hands of a few or just one person? Is it a representative democracy, a true democracy, a theocracy, which means it's guided by religion rather than any written rules of law? Or is it a dictatorship that is paternalistic in nature? I know what's best for you. I know exactly what's best for you. The third principle is the separation of powers. The branches of the government. How many people know that the branches of government have different powers? You have the executive branch, which of course lies in the President of the United States. You have the legislative branch, your House of Representatives and your Congress. And lo and behold, you have the judicial branch, a co-equal branch of the government who's often neglected. And I can speak to that personally. I can't tell you how many times I have to go out there and tell people, don't forget your judges, don't forget your judges. You can vote for your judges, so vote for your judges. You may not be able to vote for judges at the federal level, but you can at the local level. Everyone is up in arms about our presidential candidates, who are Congress, and what they look like. But keep in mind, when these laws are passed, who do you look towards to determine whether or not they are legal? There's a check and balance process in the United States of America. Each branch is a check on the other branch to ensure that no one has too much power. What laws have been upheld or passed that may be glitches or gimmicks in the eyes of many? We can talk about that. What it is to be good. Something is good if it's considered to be desired or approved of. There is some good to government. It allows for a more orderly society. The criminal system allows for punishment, rehabilitation, restoration. The social service aspect allows you to have a hand up. The government gives you a hand up when you're down to help you get back on your feet. And many of you can relate to that right now, all across the world, actually. It allows for due process and procedures before someone can accuse you of a crime, before you can be locked up, before someone can search your home, search your property. It allows you to freely express yourself and to practice your religion. That's what part of the reason for the founding of this country. We would all be part of the Church of England, but for the establishment of the United States of America. Instead of most of us being Protestants, we would be Catholics, and we'd be part of the Church of England. So this country was founded on these freedoms. But let's not get too out of line here. Let's talk about, okay, it's good. Government allows you to vote, have a voice, even when you're in the group who are voiceless. But let's talk about some of these gimmicks and these glitches. What's the deception in our system? And for many people, they think that the deception and the gimmick in all of this is that there's equal justice under the law, right? In the United States of America and across this world, people are outcrying and concerned because they see that Black and brown people, although the words are there, equal justice under the law, that in fact they do not have equal justice under the law, that there is not equal treatment and equal rights. Women just celebrated 100 years of being able to vote. But keep in mind, that's women, not African American women, not Black women. Civil Rights Act didn't pass until 1964. And you still had to deal with different literacy tests in order to vote. And let's talk about what's going on now. Congress is meeting in the United States right now because the U.S. Postal Service is being seen as a strategy to prevent people from being able to vote. So we're literally still fighting for our way and our right to vote. It hasn't gone anywhere. It continues. Glitches. A glitch is considered a minor problem that causes a temporary setback. Americans failing to receive their stimulus checks at a time when they needed them the most. The U.S. Postal Service shutting down sorting machines at a time when people are going to be relying upon, during a pandemic, and people will be relying upon the United States Postal Service to get their votes and to have their votes counted and to have their voices heard. What other gimmicks are there out there? I don't know. I'm posing these questions. My job as a judge is I have to instill confidence in our judicial system. And that's where my expertise come in. What I can tell you and what my experience has been authentically is that what I am seeing today, I never thought I would have to see again. I knew my grandmother. My grandmother was not able to vote. She died in 2007, but she was born in 1913. If your grandmother was born prior to 1964, more than likely, he or she was not able to, your grandparents, she wasn't able to vote. He wasn't able to vote. So we're still fighting for these rights. What I can tell you is that my colleagues and I, we've noticed that our system, our judicial system, because of a study that was done right here in North Carolina, people recognize that our judicial system seems to be two-tiered. There's one judicial system for those with money, one for those who don't have it. There's one judicial system for those who are Black and brown, and one for those who are not. Those are real aspects. Those are real and true realities. That's why you have the Black Lives Matter movement out here. That's why you have lawsuits for common cause. I can tell you for a fact, my personal experience, until you've been discriminated against, we know it exists, right? But until you are in a courtroom and you have someone standing up arguing for you and they say, but for no other reason, my clients are being discriminated against because they're Black. It's a totally different feeling. That happened to me. There's a documentary out called Slay the Dragon, my girlfriend turned me on to. And of course, I knew when I watched it, it's very informative. It's about gerrymandering. However, I don't think a lot of people realize that I was in the middle of it. I was written out of my seat. And me and my colleagues had to sue for the right for me to even be able to run for office this year. Otherwise, I would have had to pick up and move. They broke the county up into 8 different sub-districts and drew me and my 2 colleagues into an 82% Caucasian and predominantly Republican district. And when my lawyer stood up and said, my clients would not have lost their race, my client would not be able to run. And the only reason that this legislation was passed was because they are Black. That is the only reason. You can't imagine what that feels like. It's personal. And so for me, with that experience, that's a glitch. And that's a glitch that we probably need to address systematically in the United States of America, along with the many glitches of racism and perceptions of the judicial system and our government as a whole.
Let's go boom.
Whoo-wee! Wow.
So a whole lot going on.
Whole lot going on. Whole lot going on. And because you taking it from the street seat to the street, the judge's seat, folks, pow in your face. That's all I want to say, everybody, on the domestication of government. The domestication of government here today, folks. We are happy to say, Judge, you covered it. The good, the gimmicks, and the glitches. So let's bring on the tribe, to bring who you are, tribe, ladies and gentlemen, all of the folks out there. We're so super duper happy to have you here with us today, but we got to get the tribe out here. So I want you to welcome, if you will, from Dallas, Texas. She's a best-selling author. She's a woman entrepreneurship coach and a three-time competitor with Carol Geist, the first Black Miss USA competitor. She competed against her, and the Miss Universe. She was the first runner-up, the beautiful Miss Pamela Lou Hing.
Great morning, or great afternoon, I should say, right?
Yes, good afternoon. It's so good to see
you.
All right. How you doing today, Pam?
I am awesome, especially after what Judge just taught us. She took us to the classroom. She took us into the courtroom. She took us into the newsroom. She took us to the street, like you said.
Yeah, I almost had to wipe my hand, because when I went to pick up the mic, it was so hot. Oh my goodness, it was so hot. So let's bring on another one of the tribe members, folks. Also joining us today from Richmond, Virginia. She's a dynamic poet. She's an inspirational speaker, and she loves walking in the forest, hugging the trees. And honey, she always has a beautiful hairdo that will unwittingly knock your socks off. Please welcome the famous Jamija Jubilee. Hey, beautiful.
Hey, how y'all ladies doing today? I have to laugh because I had to laugh to keep from crying, Judge, okay? Because you dropped the bomb, and a lot of the things that you said hit a place in my heart. It makes my heart cry. But I am so proud to be a part of this platform, and I'm so happy that I can bring who I am, be who I am, as I am. Thank you.
Yes. Awesome. So, of course, we got to bring our next tribe member. She hails all the way from Los Angeles, California. She is the prophetess, the pastor of Walk in Victory, and she's a comedian in her own right, folks. Please welcome our other tribe sister. She is the brilliant songstress, if you will, and she's contributed several songs to The Color Purple. She is none other than the beautiful, hair dye laid to the side, I should say, the beautiful sister, Dr. Cecilia Sims.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad to be a part of this tribe. Judge Bess, oh my goodness. I'm like Elijah. Things just started opening up, and I started, reminiscing on some things that we've been through as women of color, men of color. So this is an excellent, and you really dropped a bomb on us real good.
I'm on me, baby. So yes, she did. So look, folks, our tribe would not be complete without our other two sisters. One of our sisters is out today, but we're going to bring her picture up in a little bit to show you who she is, our wonderful Dr. Rebecca Harper. But right now, we are bringing the wonderful sister all the way from Dallas, Texas. She's a master brand strategist and she's a trainer and a avid Dallas Cowboys fan. She is the talented and remarkable KJ Johnson. Hey, KJ.
Hey, love, how you doing today? Hello, co-host. How are we doing today?
Hello.
Look, Judge. Look,
Yeah.
you done set it off. Like Lotus said, the mic was hot. So look, we are just ready to dive in. Ladies, let's do it. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. We are having such a wonderful time today here. And I'm going to pop up our other sister and then Judge going to take the mic back and do what she do. Okay, let me see here. Let's get this going right here. I'm going to show you this quickly so you can see our other sister. And you're going to see her with some other powerful folks right there. But that's our sister, Rebecca Harper. Rebecca, mwah, we send love, light, and peace and joy to you. And you know what we're doing for you today. You know what we're doing for you today. Okay, Judge. So let's get back into this thing that we call domestication of government. Folks, we are talking about the good, the glitches, and the gimmicks of domestication of government. Judge?
That was a brief opening. There are so many different issues to talk about when we talk about government and the role government plays in our lives. And we can go so far, and I'm staying away from certain topics because I know the rest of you have certain topics that you can touch on. And I'd rather allow you to do that. But what we have to remember is that there is a purpose, right? There's a purpose. We talked about religion already. We talked about education. We talked about domestication of family. We talked about all of these different topics. And the bottom line is that it's to allow us to actually act in an orderly manner. The question is, how often, I'll use the John Lewis quote. I'll put it like that. If you're going to make trouble, make good trouble. Be willing to make good trouble.
Yes.
There are so many people, because there's a rule or a law, who are not willing to make good trouble. Imagine where we would be if no one challenged these laws and everyone just said, oh, it's the law, we have to do it. No, there were people willing to put themselves, put their lives, put their family lives on the line. Same thing with slavery. Jim Crow laws, slave codes, voting codes. You can still make good trouble. And people have to be willing to do that. But there are so many people who have been so domesticated when they think of government. There are some people who think all government is good. Some people who think all government is bad, right? Some people who think limited government. Okay, well, how do you limit the government? One way or the other. And of course, talking about the justice system and the criminal justice system specifically, and I need folks to understand that the justice system is about more than just criminal justice. It's about whether or not your kids get taken out of your house. It's about whether or not you get a restraining order against that man or woman who put their hands on you and is trying to kill you or stalking you. It's about whether or not during this pandemic, and I had to lead that effort here in Charlotte, whether or not you're going to get evicted. There were 1,800 people facing eviction here in Charlotte during this pandemic because they lost their jobs. And we're still going through those cases. But when you talk about the criminal justice system, because that's at the forefront right now with what happened with George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and I can keep going down the line, it's too many to be named. Then people still are not understanding because they see the words, but they don't believe that people truly are acting out their prejudice. Implicit biases exist in every single person on this earth, all of you. And I think one of my homeowners association individuals on Nextdoor, they were talking about cancel culture. I've been saying, oh, this cancel culture. Every culture practices cancel culture. We've always done it. Now there's a problem because Black folks are raising their voices about the inequities and injustices that we've suffered for over 400 years. And now all of a sudden it's a problem. You don't like cancel culture. But when it was convenient for you, it was okay. So government has its purpose. The question everyone has to answer for themselves, and I can't answer it for you, is what is the role of government in my life? You know, I had another discussion. I'm sorry, and just tell me when to shut up, because you all know I get passionate and I keep going on. But I had another conversation with someone recently, and we were talking about the role of government. We're talking about, quote unquote, I guess for lack of a better term, conspiracy theories. We're talking about Republicans and Democrats versus independents. I can't answer that question. You have to make that determination. We were talking about cultural differences within government. And I remember saying to the person that historically, I've studied a lot of cultures. Let me just say that. Of course, you know, I've traveled all over Latin America, but I've traveled to Europe, I've traveled to Africa. I'm missing 2 continents, and that's Asia, and I need to go make it to Australia. But I've been to pretty much, and of course, you know, the other continent that I'm not going to mention, because I don't think I'm planning on going to Greenland anytime soon. But every culture I know of, every culture is a community feeling, not this individual feeling. That individual, that I, me, my, mine, I'll put it like that, because I learned that. I, me, my, mine, these are words that never shine. Us, we are together, these are words that last forever. That's my philosophy, and you have to figure out what your philosophy is, and that's what they have to figure out.
Exactly. So I want to say, Judge, it's unequivocal that what you're saying is just the reality of the day and age that we're living in currently, but we've always lived in these times. So Jemija, would you talk a little bit about what it is that affected you with the domestication of government? Can you share with us?
Yeah, I tell you, when you were talking, Judge, when you did your opening monologue, and you talked about rules and being, you had to fall in the line, and you had to fall in line and all that kind of stuff. I tell you, I wanted to come up under my seat because, as I have said before, I lived in Charlotte County, Virginia, and I went to segregated schools. And all the laws, starting with Pussy versus Ferguson, Brown versus Burns, civil rights, and all the other things that affected my life deeply. And not only did it affect, those laws affect me then, I had an incident this week that I didn't go girlfriend on him, okay? I didn't do a zip on him, but this was on a Facebook page called If You Grew Up in Charlotte County.
Wow.
If you grew up in Charlotte County. And they had placed pictures on the Charlotte County site of whites having a band with all these hats on and instruments and all of that, and said that was Randolph Henry High School. Then they had the people from Central High School, which I went to. They had to buy their uniforms, pay for the uniforms, pay for the lessons, pay for everything they had. And they were a good marching band, by the way. And there was a series of pictures on there that really provoked me. And I asked myself, am I going to sit silently by and not say anything about it? Because the man had proclaimed himself, and he is a historian. So what I put on there, I said, separate but not equal laws applied. Okay, it was separate, not equal, and segregation, and it's still the pain of segregation is still going on. So what else did I do? I decided not to out the man on the Facebook page. What I did was I sent him a friend request. And last night, I sent a message to him saying that I felt that what he was doing, I was offended by it. I felt hurt. I had pain for it. So it's still going on. And then somebody else told me to get over it. We need to move on. That even upped it even more for me.
So I want to interject here for a moment, because I feel you. I feel the energy. I feel the hurt. I feel the pain. I feel, most importantly, the power. And what you said was you could have kind of blinked out on him, but you didn't. You took the high road, as so many of us oftentimes do. And what you did, you used your pen. So to speak, your virtual pen, because our words, they have power. So how did that empower you to go from, no, I'm not going to lead with anger, but I'm going to lead with love and reflection, and I'm going to put it into words? How was that for you, Jemima?
Well, that was really empowering for me, because I felt like I am contributing to the solution of what's happening in America right now. And as a result of that, what I am going to do, I'm going to take it a step further. I am going to write the editor of the Farmville Herald paper and ask if I can do a series on what it meant to grow up Black in Charlotte County.
Come
And
on.
Awesome.
I'm
Yeah.
going
Yes.
to
Yeah.
he can have, for him to have the same opportunity to interview
Right.
people that were white, but as a woman of color. And I'm going to start with people that are age, and I'm going to ask them the same colors, the same, not, same black Americans, but ask them the same question about what their experiences was. Because I know my daddy used to listen to the white people and then go implement it for himself. That's what he used to do. And so he would be the first person, because he's the oldest person I know. He's 95 years old. He's the Reverend John Henry Brown. So I'm going to ask to have a column in that paper. That's what I'm going to do.
Love it.
That's good.
Love
Awesome. Awesome. So, Dr. Cecilia, you are always leading the way on your show, helping people to seek out their spiritual side, if you will. But I noticed on one of your shows most recently, you really call people to task to be responsible. And that's really what Jemijah was talking about right there. You got to be responsible for what you say. You got to be responsible for what you do, because even your actions without spoken word is really still speaking. So, Dr. Cecilia, tell us how the domestication of government has affected you as you were coming along.
Well, I was listening to everybody, and it just so opened so many doors. And Elijah and Judge Bess, it's awesome that we're bringing who we are in this matter. It's amazing because it's not only just trickled into the secular world, it's in our churches too. So it is amazing to me how we have prejudices. And I wrote something down about the gimmicks, Judge, and I thought that the gimmicks that the judicial system instills fear. And they do that on purpose in our people of color so that you won't know your worth. Okay. Once we find out and figure out how our worth is and how valuable we are, they know how valuable we are. But they want us to keep us in that enslaved mentality by constantly instilling fear. And I'm afraid some of my colleagues and my parishioners has grasped that concept to rule in the houses, the churches, at homes. It's a domestication issue. So they gravitate that false sense of, being in control, because that's not the control that God wanted. That is not at all to be controlled, because the biblical principles teaches us that we are free. And how can you be free when you're in bondage in your mind? And so they use these gimmicks. They use subliminal fear tactics. They use things where they show things where people are hanging or being lynched, and the injustices. And I'm just showing where even in the injustice of Black women who have been raped, can I just be real? Okay.
Absolutely.
There is an injustice. I know someone personally who'd been raped by a fellow police officer, only for them to take her around and make her think that it was a delusion. Okay. They didn't have the child's mother with her. So I have an issue with the gimmicks and the tactics that they use to prevent people from coming forward and telling the truth, because they make you feel worthless. But they're mad now because there's an awakening in my people. That's what they have a problem with.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful. And I like what you said earlier. You have to know your worth. You have to. It's unequivocal, because if you don't know your worth, you will fall to the gimmicks, the good, the gimmicks, and what else, folks? The glitches.
The glitches.
Okay. So I love to hear what you said. So KJ, we know that you are a phenomenal radio show host, and you've been doing it for years. And even in radio, there's a facet of government, and you can know your worth, and you can be bold and brazen in the radio sector, if you will. However, there is still some good, some glitches, and some gimmicks. So can you tell us a little bit about that from your point of view?
Yeah, absolutely, Lotus. And it's interesting that you say that, right? And as I was listening to Judge earlier, right, and Yamaji and Dr. Cece, really when you think about this, there's good to a lot of what we do, the systems that are in place, but there still are a lot of glitches, right, and a lot of gimmicks. And when I think about radio, right, and it's like, okay, yeah, bring who you are, right? Let the show be all about, what you want to talk about, but we're gonna need you to go to commercial here. We're gonna need you to go to, and we need you to showcase this commercial. You can't be doing your own commercial, right? So there's these parameters around how things must be done. You understand what I'm saying? And so, but that caters to, right, what they want. That caters to how they are running the situation. And here's the deal: you're fitting in, right? And when you really think about that, because I teach, right, we need to get out of that. It's not about fitting in, it's about being uniquely who you are. And that is so important, right, in which the world we live. Lotus, I want to tell you a story. I remember years ago, my son actually just turned 35 yesterday, but this was when he was like 16. Yeah, he's making me old, so don't be applauding too much. I told him we both can't be 35. Somebody, got to be old enough to have had the child. but thank you. But when he was around 16 years old or so, right, at the time I worked for a major corporation, and I traveled 3 weeks, right, out of 4. So I was on the road a lot, and we lived about 45 minutes from my mother. So I would let him stay home. He had a car. He needed to go to school. But I always told him, right, somebody is watching the house. Like, don't think you just free, right? But on one of those trips, I received a call from the law who said, we have a car that's been registered in your name who has drove off and not paid for gas, basically have stole fuel. And I was like, oh, no, you ain't got my car, right? And they was like, yes. So I got home, right, from the trip. And of course, right, I go to my son because I had my car and he had his car, both registered in my name. And he was like, no, Mom, no, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Y'all, this was the story for 2 weeks. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, right? And so, I'm like, I'm supporting my child. What you mean? They not going to be, blaming this on my child about stealing no gas. We got money. We can pay for gas. What you talking about, right? So, y'all, I was like that for the full time, right? And I would go to him every day. Trey, you good, right, Mom? He's like, yeah, Mom, da-da-da, right? So we were set to go down to the police station to address this, right? And even in the car, Trey, and he's like, yeah, Mom, okay. I was like, okay, cool. So we go in, and fortunately for us, and I'm going to say this, that we had a Black police officer, okay, who came into the room and said, son, we know that, you are an AB honor roll. You getting ready to go off to Abilene Christian University. You're a track star, never had any problems. Your teacher always says, positive things about you, right? Did you steal the gas? Oh, yes, I did. I said, what just happened? Right? So for 2 weeks. Now, for us, this was good, right? Because because he was underage, they didn't put it on his record, because they really could have. But I was just so blessed. Y'all, look, that ride home was not a good ride back to the house. But we truly thank God for his goodness, right? Because it definitely, when I think about, guys, sometimes, right, we can live in such a bubble that we really don't know what's going on around us. And so when I think about that, anything could have happened to my son. You know what I'm saying? And they could have charged him and put it on his record and the whole 9 yards. So I thank God for that, right? So our government, yes. Do we have glitches? Do we have, gimmicks? We do. But we do have some good. And it is our responsibility to make sure that we stand up, right, and do the things that we need to do around that.
I concur. I just, I hope my sister's watching this episode because we have a family story that is very similar. But I just want to say one thing. I'm sure happy that I wasn't in that car. And Trey, this is for you. Because you live to tell about it, brother. You live to
Right.
So we're gonna go right over to our sister. We're gonna go right over to our sister.
Yes.
When we come back, we're gonna go right over to our sister Pamela Luhing, because she's gonna come back and talk to us about the domestication of government when it comes to pageants, because I really believe that she has seen some things. But when we first come back, we definitely gonna take a word from our viewers. So stick with us and we'll be right back. Trey.
Let's go boom.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I want to take some remarks from the folks. We've seen you guys streaming in from all over. Hey, folks from Washington, D.C. Can't wait to see what the ladies have today. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We appreciate you. And of course, it's time for Bring Who You Are. Thanks, KJ, for putting that up there. And our sister is always with us, Rebecca Harper. We miss you too, darling. We miss you. Yes, we do. And April Hopkins, thank you so much, April, for always being with us. We appreciate you. Thank you for your love.
Absolutely.
From North Carolina. Yes. And Shirley Murphy, thank you so much. Well done. She said Shirley is coming in from Africa. Shirley, let everybody know where you're
awesome.
Yeah, she's on from Africa. Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Excellent.
And
Beautiful.
of course, folks, thank you so much for allowing us really to speak from our hearts. And thank you so much. And April said earlier, Judge, when you were talking about how you were kind of disrespected during your job, she said that is awful, Judge. I'm sorry that happened to you and
your colleagues. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, greetings, ladies from Riverside, California. Please type your name in.
That's no problem. Internet
There
interference.
she is.
Interference, that's okay. Hey, Riverside, California, we're happy to have you here. Sean Siegel from Ohio, good to see you. We got someone else streaming in from Los Angeles, Cali. Good to see you. So thank you so much. Canada is in the house. Medea, good to see you, darling. She said we honor them all and send prayers to their loved ones. We must rise up to make a change. So much so. And poverty mentality. Yes, we have got to overcome the poverty mentality. And also, we've got another person here. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Yes, amen. You have got to change your mind to change your circumstance. This is what I always say. So thank you so much. And someone else said happy birthday to Trey.
Thank you.
And someone said it will be a memorable birthday. And that's right. Especially if he didn't get that booty beat in the car. So Trey,
he did. He got it.
I figured he did. But I tell you what, Trey, it's all good. It's all good. We just know. We're not gonna tell nobody, Trey, other than how many thousands of people watch the show. Trey, I'm just saying, Trey. I'm just saying, we sending some love to you. We just sending you some love, brother.
Feel better, Trey. Feel better.
So, hey,
Trey.
I know. I know, Pam, you have had to see some real domestication of government in the part of what you've done, being in pageants and traveling all over the world, and even in the competition of things, you know, where people use their rule, if you will, over people. So can you share a little bit about that with us?
I sure can, you know, and as it relates to pageants, that conversation is so deep that we're going to have to do another show for that one. For sure.
Yes.
We're going to have to do another show. And I'm sitting here just admiring Mama Government that kicked in that KJ did with her son. I call her Mama Government.
Yes.
I can imagine her driving
like that.
and beating him at the same time, right? Only a mama can do that, right?
That's right.
Only a mama. So it's interesting, Kate, that you share that story because I have one that's in the exact opposite of that. And my son is 29 years old. And so when we talk about government and in particular policing, Judge Kim, I love what you said earlier about, you know, when we look at government and the domestication of government, we're looking at how it impacts us, right?
Yes.
And I really had to give some thought to this. And I said, wow, you know what? That was domestication at its finest in my son's life.
Yes.
So we're working down in Kentucky. And this was about a year ago. So he's working down in Kentucky, and he and a colleague were staying at the home of the person who owned their construction company because they travel around and they clean buildings and things like that. So it's about midnight, right? And I don't know where in Kentucky he was. And how I found out was I read a Facebook post. Okay, so I read this Facebook post, and as I was read the details, I was like, wow. So what happened was it was midnight. They were at a gas station. So my son pumped the gas. His friend went inside. His friend came back out. He got in the car, and then they proceeded to go to the home that they were staying in. Okay, they had been there about a month or so. And they pulled, and my son said as he was driving, he noticed that the police started following him, and it was about a mile. Okay, so they pulled up the driveway. If you can imagine, Kentucky, probably not many lights out. It's dark outside. He pulled into the driveway, and all of a sudden, they see like 4 or 5 cop cars, you know, just congregate right in front of their driveway, and the police are getting out. His friend got out and said, you know, what's going on? What's going on? Now he got out of the car, which I'm like, Lord, thank you, Lord, for protecting them. Because at that moment, they really could have just opened fire, right?
Right.
And so my son refused to get out of the car. And he said that he was sitting in the car, and the police came over to him. I need you to step out of the car. And he said, sir, we're here where we live. Why are you asking? I mean, what did we do wrong? Essentially, I need you to step out of the car. And he said they went back and forth for a moment, but finally my son did get out of the car. And he asked him, sir, what did I do? He said, y'all look suspicious.
Oh, no.
He said when his friend walked out, he looked at him. And I guess he may have given him a look and that he didn't like, right? And I started praising God in that very moment as I read that Facebook. And I found out on Facebook, he didn't call me and tell me because see, I would have been in the car on my way. Right. And I thank God for that. And I thank God that, you know, nothing happened that night other than they left. They didn't search the car, you know, they left. And so I thank God for that. But that's not the sense. My son has been pulled over about 8 times in the last year and a half, 2 years. And I got a problem with that, y'all. I'm just being honest. I got a problem with that. And then I was pulled over twice in the last year here in Texas. All right. And one, I was just leaving the restaurant with my daughter, and we pulled over. The police pulled me over, and I'm like, oh boy, what did I do? I know I wasn't driving too fast. I know I didn't run a red light. And he approached the side of my daughter. She had food in on her lap, right? The carryouts. And he said, ma'am, may I see your license? I said, so why are you pulling me over? And he went back to his car. He just took his license, went back to the car, and came back. He said, you have a tail light out.
What?
You have a tail light out. Now, my daughter and I are about an hour away from home. All right. It's dark. And all of this going on with police, I'm nervous.
Right.
I said, sir, so you detained me, you went and checked my license, you did all of that for a tail light that's out. He's like, well, yes,
Right.
standard procedure. He said, where y'all coming from? He started with questions. He asked my daughter,
Wow.
and
Wow.
immediately answered, we just left the restaurant, we just ate, right? And I said, excuse me, sir. I said, why are you asking these questions? And what difference does it make? My tail light is out. You've notified me of that, and I will get that fixed right away. And then I said, sir, allow me to share this with you. I said, your line of questioning is out of order. He said, I'm just trying. I said, why are you doing that? He said, oh, it's just conversation. I said, sir, let me help you understand. You're a white man. I'm a black woman.
Right.
My
Right.
16-year-old
There you
child
go.
was right next to me. And I said,
Right.
with all that's going on in the society right now with Black people and police officers, I said, it makes me feel very uncomfortable that you would take me down the road and ask me questions that are
Right.
inappropriate for why you're pulling
Yeah.
me over.
Yeah.
So you might want to consider not having those types of conversations, because it really it's not good. And so that has
Yeah.
been my experience as it
Mm-hmm.
relates to what's going on in the domestication of government and the policing and all of that. And there's so much more that I can say, but I'm gonna leave it right there. And as a result of what happened with George Floyd, one of the things that I chose to do after I watched our former president Barack Obama do a town hall, he talked about his his president's task force on the 21st century policing policy, and they talked about an 8-point strategy. And he actually asked mayors around the country to make a pledge that they would really take his policing policy to heart and to begin to implement those things. And so that's one of the things that I did as a result. I shared this with my sorority, and then the community, they actually went out to talk to the sheriff's department and the police department and things like that. So anyway, that is my experience.
Yes. Wow. Wow.
Well, it's unequivocal that there are a lot of things going on here in the country with people of color, as it has been for many, many years. And unfortunately, we are seeing, well, not unfortunately, fortunately, we are actually seeing it more and more in mainstream media. And I think these things need to be covered and they don't need to be overlooked. So I wanted to share a brief video with all of you that may be a little challenging for some folks to watch, because when we speak of these things, we don't come without it being documented, it's being on camera somewhere. So we want to take a quick moment for what I wanted to say to really bring to the forefront what's really happening. So I wanted to share this with you. And as you can see, this video is a video, and this is something that happened in Georgia. So please take a look at this.
About the activity, man. Suspicious activity? What about? Let's tell you something. Do that camera. What are you guys doing? We're out here investigating suspicious activity, well, sir. I'm not doing anything. I've been around cameras, so I ain't been doing nothing. All right. So what were you doing over there at the Walgreens? Waiting up for Western Union. Call my sister right now. She's in Florida. You have a cell phone, call her. Don't call who? Call my sister in Florida. Don't do this. What are you doing? Oh my God! What are you doing? Put your hands behind your back like you told. Put your hands. What are you doing? Oh Jesus! Oh my God! Oh please! Put your hands. I wasn't doing anything. Oh my God! Jesus! Oh my God! You broke my wrist. This guy, I had just got contact with him. I thought it was wrong to one. No, that's why I was trying to. No, because there's two different people. That's why I was trying to figure out if I had missed something. He told him to put his hands behind his back. I'm so confused. Wait. Okay, so. He's not the one with the warrant? No. I was getting ready to put my hands behind my back. He forcefully picked me up. Yeah, I'm sure.
This gentleman's wrist was broken. And this is footage that went viral. The news media covered this clearly, conveying that they had the wrong man. They broke the man's wrist. And this is the gimmick, the glitch that happens when we talk about domestication of government. And it is unequivocal that we must, without a doubt, do better. So we are going to take a quick break and pause for the cause. One moment. Because we are at the top of the hour and we are about to close. So I want to thank each and every one of you that have come today to hear about the domestication of government. Many of you are streaming in saying we must speak out. Thank you for the article, and has given some interesting statistical data on what's going on here in this country in relation to people of color. And we humbly thank you all for watching this episode. And it is difficult, it is hard to show this. And it's not just happening with men of color, it's also happening with women of color. And it's happening to people who are judges, who are attorneys, who are doctors. It's happening all over the world. So in our last few moments, I'm going to share something brief with you, and then we will be signing off. This here, Judge, I want to share because this is unequivocal that we must protect our people in office. And this is from CBS News.
2 Florida police officers are facing scrutiny for pulling over Aramis Ayala, who happens to be the first Black state attorney elected in Florida history. This body camera footage posted by the Orlando Police Department is making the rounds on social media. This happened in June. Take a look.
What agency you with?
I'm the state attorney.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Your tag didn't come back. Never seen that before. I'm sorry? Yeah. We're good now.
So it was.
We ran the tag. I've never seen it before. A Florida tag. It's never come back to anything before. So that's the reason for the stop.
So it is unequivocal that people are being stopped. And when the judge asked him, what was she being stopped for? He said, oh, we run tags all the time and we stop people all the time. So KJ, I'd like you to please have some final thoughts as we move into our next upcoming show.
Yeah, so guys, this has really been a very powerful, and it's a serious conversation, right? And as you know, right, this is something that we are continuing to fight in our country. So, you know, I want to tell you this, right? Here's an affirmation that I want to give you that you walk away with today is that you are superior to stereotypes, right? Soar as the eagle you are. Right? And don't let anybody tell you that you don't have a voice, because you do. Right? So, right, I want you to, I guess I just want to share this with you right as we close. Join us for our next show. It's going to be in 2 weeks, September the 5th, 2020. We're going to be talking about domestication of corporation. Yes. Certainty, counterfeit, and criminals. On behalf of Lotus Ritchie and the Bring Who You Are tribe, I am Karen K. Johnson. We ask that you have a wonderful and brandtastic weekend. We see you next time.
Let's go boom.